Hi, everyone. Anthony Fartface here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for a review of the new Oliver Tree album, Ugly is Beautiful. This is the long-awaited, pushed back, and now eventually released debut full-length album of singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer, director, meme master, Oliver Tree. Been pretty excited for this one to drop, not only because my first introduction to Oliver was a very fun live show where he showcased his exuberant songs that celebrated many things from 90s music culture, the rock, the pop, the hip-hop of that era, but with a modern punch, but he also carries and promotes himself much more creatively and eccentrically than many artists out there today. His eye-grabbing fashion sense, his wild music video concepts, his viral memes, and the sense that he's always in character to some degree. It's all reflective of a level of showmanship that I feel like many artists are just not willing to commit to in the social media age where nothing is really hidden in the shadows anymore. But despite this societal paradigm shift, Oliver has still been able to deliver this seamless image of a bowl-cut-headed weirdo who's always caught in these super exaggerated, absurd situations. So while it is admirable what Oliver has been able to pull off on the lore end of things, his new record still didn't get the rollout, the promotional rollout it deserved. With Oliver building up anticipation with one EP and another EP and then single after single after single after single after single and tons of music videos. And it just got to the point where much of the surprise of this record was pretty much spoiled or just stale at this point. However, I will say there is something to be gained by hearing all of these songs in the greater context of an album, because if there is any branch of Oliver Tree's art where he's kind of removing the jacket, the bowl cut, and the glasses, it's his music. As in the lyrics of his songs, there are consistent themes of being discounted, written off, neglected, forgotten, mistreated, feeling like an outcast, feeling like a joke, fucking up, having insecurity. The track 1993 isn't just titled after the year Oliver was born, but it's also a song where lyrically he goes on about beginning to achieve his dreams, saying that there are no guarantees in his unquenchable thirst for success, while also making a bit of meta commentary on pretending to be someone else in the second half. So if you find that Oliver's music seems to lack the surrealism that nearly every other piece of art he makes has, it's because he's kind of just being himself. Considering that, there are some moments on this LP, like Jerk, which are narratively tragic, where Oliver finds himself cutting things off entirely with a person, preferring isolation and loneliness over the emotional trauma this individual brings him. Or even the track I'm Gone, which is a sad, howling, fuzzy, semi-demented indie rock rager, where Oliver is singing about being gone, essentially, where he's just paralyzed by indecision, it seems. It's like a send-off where he's bowing out of public life, or art, or out of something else more personal, I'm not entirely sure, but then going on about how they will always find you. I can't quite put it into words, but it's like there's a breadcrumb trail being left for fans on this song who might want to know what he's doing after this record. In regards to the songwriting on this LP, every single track on this album is very, very tightly structured, almost to a fault sometimes, because there are points where Oliver, I think, could be extending things a bit, adding more lyrics, a different or a fresh verse, but there is no doubt about the fact that Oliver knows his way around a hook. Even on the weakest tracks of this LP, the choruses are popping. And honestly, as I listen to the entire album, even the songs that I am the most familiar with in the track list haven't really lost their luster. They're still very fun to listen to. The song Alien Boy, which is still a very groovy and stark piece of pop music, with nasally lead vocals that cut like a knife and super bubbly synth leads. There is the song Hurt, which is a punchy and moody combination of rock and hip-hop that features a super shouty refrain that grabbed my ears right away. It seems like it never really was enough. Then the song Introspective is a sad piece of slacker rock with somewhat distorted and twangy rhythm guitars, bittersweet lead vocals as well that feel genuinely pained. And Oliver is really pushing the odd timbre of his voice on this track to the point where he sounds like he's a bleeding sheep, and I mean that in the best way possible. It does stand out, and it's not grating. Stylistically and emotionally, I get a similar quality off of the song Miracle Man too, but this one by contrast is backed by these peppy peppy driving sequenced beats and a very solid set of acoustic guitar chords. Your whole life! There are also some deeper highlights on this LP that I love too. Namely the tracks Joke's on You as well as Bury Me Alive, where Oliver really shows off his rap skills. His delivery makes him sound like a Beastie Boys member in his prime, going solo, flowing like a river. And not that it's a bad thing, but when Oliver raps on this LP, I feel like that's the closest he comes to sounding like he's in character when he's making his music. While I'm mentioning highlights, let me dial it back one more time to the song 1993, which might just have the sickest groove on the entire record. That bass line, boom, 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 boom. The growling, thumping, gritty house beat on this track is stellar. Then there's also the trap switch up toward the end, which I believe features some vocals from Little Ricky ZR3 on it. Seemed like it made for a very murky and deep and dark section of the track that was kind of cool for the ending. So again, those are the highlights for me, but where this record falters the most is on the compositional end or the instrumental end, where the ideas presented are so stale and done to death. They feel derivative of a handful of other things. The kind of stuff that I used to hear played on the radio to death during the 90s when I was a kid. Believe it or not, there are even spots of this LP where the combination of rap and rock and pop seems kind of reminiscent of 21 Pilots. There's the opening track, which sounds like a ripoff of a Strokes song. Then the song Again and Again feels like a kind of mediocre take on Cage the Elephant. Everything from the guitars to the drums to the breakdown on the pre-chorus and the riff that pops in and the super like high-pitched vocal delivery that Oliver busts out during that moment just seems like the exact kind of fuzzy garage rock revivalism that Cage the Elephant has kind of already nailed. Then there's the track Waste My Time, which I think is my least favorite here, not because it sounds like anything else, but because Oliver is really leaning into the most unlikable qualities of his voice on this song to the point where it just gets annoying. If this song is trying to rub me the wrong way, it's working. Overall, though, I did like this album. I think it's a pretty solid debut despite it not being rolled out in the most perfect way. But I still wonder, where is Oliver going to go from here? What is he going to do? If you call back to my recent interview with him, he said this is going to be his last record. That's kind of disheartening because I do hear a ton of potential in the future of Oliver Tree after having heard this. It kind of feels like the sky could be the limit past this point, but now I guess the ride is over. Feeling a decent 2 strong 7 on this one. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Oliver Tree. Ugly is beautiful forever.